here where you can see. We just going to come through here and tack these here every so often. I'm trying to keep it as cool as I can. It'll curl up on you quick. You can already see it curled up right here on the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over right quick. I'm going to hit it on the other side. Try to make it come back where it needs to be at. So it laid back down pretty much where I can work with it. All right, so these are going to be my two side pieces. Now, what I need to do is I need to try to roll the top edge a little bit. I don't want it straight and then straight 90. I want it to kind of make a kind of a round transition. So I got a piece of pipe over here. I got a piece of pipe right here. Is I'm going to set it up on this table some kind of way and clamp it down. And I'm going to try to put a little heat on that metal and kind of tap it around and see if I can get it to go around that way. If I don't like the way that process is working, then I'll go a different way. But that's the route I'm going to try to start with. So give me a few minutes. Let me set it up. I'll be back. I'm going to just try to tack this piece of bar on my table here so it don't be moving too much when I'm tapping on it. You don't want to get too much on there because you're going to come back and cut it off. But I do want enough on there so it don't move on me when I start beating on it. Hit it one more time. I think that'll hold it. What I want to do, I want to trim some of this stuff here out of the way. Because I got a feeling it's going to be in my way when I get ready to roll that piece of steel around. I just want to trim it up a little bit. You got the point where it starts to roll over. So what we want to do is get on the point where it starts to actually roll over. And if you lay your piece of metal up there, you can see exactly where that is going to be at. Just by pushing down on the metal and you see what's touching and what ain't touching. What's touching is your flat point. I need to get a little better mark on there, so I'm going to look for a paint marker here. I'm just going to come here and make me a dot Don't have to be very big. Just make your little line. Now that paint ain't going nowhere. As long as I don't cut my bar loose, I'll be right there. And so I'm going to line my 1.25" mark up with that. Line this one up. Same thing. I'm going to tack weld it right where it's at. Yeah, I don't like these gloves. They're thick. They're good for heat cutting, but they're hard to get on and off. I think that there should be okay. I keep it pushed down with something, it should be all right. Yeah. I think we're going to try to go with that. We're just going to heat it and beat it. See if we can get it to roll around. Get some more heat. We don't have to get it all perfect at one time. I can come back and tap it a little more. Well, that looks like a pretty good little roll to me. We'll let that cool for a second. And then we'll cut it loose. Probably just cut it loose and set it on over there out of the way somewhere. Let it cool off while I'm doing something else. This thing is going to be super hot. Don't make a mistake of grabbing it with your fingers. Figure out right quick and let it go. So there's a dip in what it is that I want to build. It's not straight across here at the back. It's kind of got a little dip in it. So we'll have to make some adjustments on that cut and kind of give it that dip that I'm looking for. But for right now, that'll work. So we'll duplicate this on the other side. We'll call this the right side. And then we'll flip it over, and I need one for the left side. So I need it bent the opposite way. So you have to be careful on how you bending it, how you lay it up there. So I need this one with the wide end down to the left instead of the right this time. All right, yep, so that'll be the left. We'll double check it. That'll be, if you're standing in the front, that'll be considered the left. So this will be considered the right, and it needs to bend this way. So yeah. The same thing, 1.25 inches. Tack it down. I don't like these gloves. I should have got a size bigger. Too hard to get on and off. So this red bar is still hot. So touch it with no glove. We might cut this video short and go in the house. Get some ice cream. Lick your wounds. I've been burnt severely bad 2 times in my lifetime. One time with a radiator, hot water out of a radiator when I was about 16 years old, and was working on a boy's car, put a motor in it. I had put the boy's motor in his car at 16 years old. No help, no nothing. I put his motor in his car, and it was a used motor, so we took it around the block. It was having trouble heating up. The car was wanting to run hot. He didn't have the hood back on the car yet, and we just drove it around the block for the first time, and it heated up. We walked up to the front of the car, and I had already saw the car pegged all the way out to 260 before I got out of it. I was in the passenger seat. He was in the driver's seat. So we got out the front of the car, and I walked around the front of the car looking at it, and I took my hand and just barely did put it on top of the radiator cap. I didn't put it on there and twist it. I just put it on there and pushed on it a little bit for some dumb reason. And when I did, that radiator cap blowed off of there, and that sucker, it shot water up high. It hit me in the face where it hit me at, run down the side of my arm, hit me in the chest, knocked me down on the ground. I turned around and looked back, and it was shooting up 10, 12 feet high in the air, and I just trying to get away from it. But that sucker, it melted all the skin off my arm here. I had a tank top on with some kind of sticky decal on the front of it. I remember it was green. And when I pulled the tank top off, that sticky decal had stuck to my titty nipple there and pulled my skin off. I mean, it was terrible. And so I don't play with fire too much or hot water. I had to go to therapy for like a couple months and get it scraped on, and it finally, the skin grew back, and over 20 or 30 years, you can't really tell the scar. You can still see it a little bit, but it's still there. And another time I got burnt with a propane electric furnace on the inside of an old trailer house. So you don't want to get burned. That's a painful deal. It's long term too. It ain't short term. why you don't want to go to hell. It's too hot. That old woman on there. All right. We'll tighten this one down and we'll do the same process. Just let that cool a second. And I've built a lot of stuff over the years. And, I tell people I built it or made it or whatever. Uh, and they just assume, they don't know the whole process of what it takes to go through something even like a big truck. It takes a lot of work to tear a truck apart and get it back together, even if it is one that's already been built from a factory. If you strip one down to the frame and you go to doing a bunch of work to it and put it back together, there's a lot of stuff involved in it. I used to work on old cars back when I was younger up in had an old build. My daddy had an old build up there beside the highway, and I used it when I was younger, just fiddling around on old cars and painting and different stuff. And people would come up there and they'd want you to paint a car, for next to nothing, and they don't realize the amount of work that goes into, a nice paint job. They think you just go in there and tape it up, scuff it up a little bit, and spray it and come out and it's brand new. That ain't the case. There's a lot of work that goes in between, doing something like that to actually bringing it back out and it looks like something. I mean, you could go in there and tape something up and spray it in a day or so, and it's going to look like you did it in a day or so too. It's going to have all kind of stuff in it, more than likely dents, and you just can't go there and do that kind of work in a rush. It takes time. I didn't ever, go to any kind of schools or body work or anything like that back then to learn how to do anything. It was all done on trial and error. There weren't no YouTube or no kind of videos back then you could watch. If you didn't know somebody and you could go work with somebody, you basically was on your own unless you went to some kind of school or class. Nowadays you can get on the internet and you can kind of look at this and that, and you can kind of figure out some stuff on, how you need to go about getting it done. But back then there was a lot less information. So it was a lot of trial and error. And you got people now that go look at a YouTube video, try to do something one time, and they swear all up and down they the best at it. That somebody's been in it for 30 years doing it. Done made all kind of mistakes and fixed them. And you got brand new people getting in trades now, and they won't be in the trade a year, and they'll be advertising, I'm the best in the business. There's people out there you never even heard of that make you look foolish. They know so much. But I don't do that. I know what I know. But I don't go around preaching it all the time. Every once in a while, you have to, put somebody in their place. But I've been around a lot of people, and they never know that I know what I know. They just think I'm there to pump out a septic tank or whatever it is I'm there to do, and that's it. I don't tell them no more, and I do what I got to do, and I leave. But if I get around somebody, that's hard to deal with, and, sometimes I have to put people in their place, regardless of whatever position they got. We had this one dude one time. We was putting in a septic system. And this has been several years ago. We were in a certain county. We were putting in a septic system, and permit had it drawn up one way. You may need a pump system, and you may not. And I had already went out there a week or two before I took my machines out there. I had already went out there with my regular truck and my laser and set it up and checked everything just to see exactly what the homeowner was going to need out there. And so by the time I got ready to put it in, I knew what it needed. It needed a pump system. You had plenty enough fall. Even though the drain field was a long ways away from the house, over 100 foot, he had plenty of fall because the house was built up on a pad, and the backyard had a good slope to it anyway. He had plenty of fall. So we got equipment out there, and we got getting ready to put it in. And I was going to just go ahead and call the inspector and tell him, that I had already been out there. It didn't need a pump system. And what we were going to do, basically, I was just going to inform him. I already knew what had to be done. I was just going to go ahead and give him a heads up. That way he knew when he came out there. So he wouldn't answer the phone. Couldn't get him on the phone, and we were like, 50 miles away, 60, with a 2 pieces of equipment, 2 trucks, and we needed to do the job. It's a one-day job. Basically, you go there and put it in, get it inspected, or have somebody from the county come look at it, and then cover it back up, grade it back out. And if you start early and it ain't too sophisticated, you can do it in a good day. I called his son gun and called him. No answer to the phone. Called his the office up there where his secretaries and stuff be. Told him, have him call me. I need to talk to him. No call. So I went ahead. We put it in like it was supposed to be put in. So about 3:30 comes. He shows up out there in his car. He comes out there, and I'm already kind of aggravated because he didn't answer the phone call, and I'm trying to call you all day. And he comes out there, and he's I guess I never met the dude before. He don't know who I was. He don't know who I am or whatever. But he comes out there and he tries to start telling me how what's supposed to be and this and that. And And the man don't even know what the hell he's talking about. You know, he's trying to give information based off of what somebody else told him, and he's brand new, you know, in that trying to be an inspector for the county, and I end up having to put him in his place out there. I don't care what kind of position you got. You know, if you know what you're doing, that's one thing. But if you don't know what you're doing, don't show up on the job trying to push your weight around because you got a little a position or you think you got some kind of authority. You know, a man that's out there that knows what he's doing, he don't care about what kind of position you got. That means nothing. He's out there trying to give me information on what needed to be what and how it needed to be. And you know, I know good and well the man he don't know anything. So he said his supervisor told him that way. I said, well, your supervisor told you wrong. I weren't going to change anything anyway. I knew it was in the way it was supposed to be in, and there wasn't no issue with it. But he was trying to get the man to spend, the homeowner to spend an extra $5,000 to put in some type of, you know, this pump tank system out there that's got a pump in it and floats, and you got to aggravate with it every few years to spend money on it. And he didn't need it. Had he needed it, I would have put it in for him, but he didn't need it. So I don't put stuff in and that would cost people money just because somebody else thought that that's the way it needed to be. I put stuff in, you know, the right way, and I ain't doing stuff just to be randomly doing it because some dummy that thinks he knows something said it should be this way. If you know what you're doing, I mean, I show everybody respect. It don't matter what you know. You can know nothing. Just be absolutely clueless, and I've even you know gave inspectors information when they're brand new coming on the job on why I don't do this and why I don't do that, and you know I got no problem with it. But I see that a lot of times. You know, people just show up somewhere. They'll show up somewhere and get a little position, and then they think they know more than somebody that's been doing it for 30 years and had all kind of problems and had to solve them. And you just fresh out of wherever you fresh out of, off the couch or out of a school somewhere, and you know, stuff in books and paper. Sometimes it works on books and paper. It don't always work in the real world. So if you ain't got no hands-on experience, don't be barking at somebody that does have, you know, 30, 40 years of experience and had all kind of issues, you know, acting like you know something because you ain't never done nothing. If you put your time in, eventually you'll have some experience, but if you ain't never done nothing, you ain't got no experience. There's a lot of professionals that know more about what they're doing than somebody that went and took a class about something and somebody told them, you know, it's supposed to be this way or it's supposed to be that way. There's people out there that's done it 20, 30, 40 different ways. They know which way is the right way. But I see that a lot. I see it in businesses too, you know, regular trades. People that get into a trade and they'll be in it just for a minute. Before you know it, they're the best in the business. There's nobody around that even knows, you know, no more than what I don't even know how they got stuff done before they got in business. I know a bunch of people in a bunch of trades that's in business that go around and get money off people and they don't know anything. What they do is mediocre. It's half job. But if you don't know anything and somebody comes up there and they know just a tad more than you do, you know, a lot of these homeowners or whatever, they think they know what they're talking about. You have to put a real professional upside of, you know, somebody that's doing all that yapping, and then let somebody come up there and stand with you, and then see who knows what. I've done jobs for for restaurants, you know, that have called plumbers out to get grease blockages out of drain lines. And they'll come out there and run a little auger down through a drain line that's a, you know, 200-foot long. It's got an uphill slope in it that's got grease in it. They'll run a little auger down through it and bust a little hole in that grease blockage. Bust a little hole in the grease blockage, and then voila, it's a miracle. The water's flowing again. But it's only going to flow temporary because all you did was go there and poke a little hole in a 4-inch blockage. You went there and poked a little 1-inch hole through it or whatever, and 9 times out of 10, whatever you broke loose, it fell down in that pipe. It didn't flow onto the sewer. It's just sitting in there. You got to be able to, you know, clean that stuff out and break it up in little pieces, and then you got to be able to flush that line with a good amount of water, especially if you got an uphill in it. But I know plumbers in businesses and that shouldn't be. They're doing stuff, and in their mind they're fixing it. They're not doing nothing but a temporary fix. We went and got one out here a while back for a restaurant, and the restaurant had actually been shut down. It had actually, you know, the people from the county had came out, and they had several problems out there with the line getting stopped up and it running over on the grass and running down in the swamp. So the county came out there the last time it did it, and they actually shut the whole restaurant down. I went out there and tried to help them get it where, you know, where they could get the restaurant back open. And we started out with, you know, a little jetting process just to try to get the line clean enough where we could put a camera down through it. And you know, it took 2 days actually to get all that stuff out of there that had accumulated out there over a 20-year period. And they have had several different companies out there, plumbing companies, you know, claiming they cleaning the line out and they open it up, and in a couple months it's right back flowing back over on the ground again. So we went out there and I took my big truck out there with a big jetter on it, and we took a camera out there. I looked down through there, I saw what was going on. I got the line, once I got the line actually clean, I had to flush it out. So we got a truck that can carry 2,000 gallons of fresh water. And so we able to flush something out, not just jet it out and leave all the little stuff down in the line, but we able to actually flush the stuff and run it out until it gets in the city sewer and let it go down the city sewer where it's completely out of the line. There was decades and decades and decades of grease packed up in that pipe. I mean, it took a whole day just jetting and putting the camera down, taking a Sunday. You know, once I would identify the spots that were still heavy, I would take a Sunday and I would mark it, you know, where the spots was real heavy and measure it, and then I would know where my jetter needed to be working at the most. So when I got through the whole process and flushed it out, we told them, you know, even though we got it clean and you got an outlet baffle on this grease trap, you still getting grease that's getting out into the line, and their line was kind of running up a hill up under the highway. So it weren't where it was going on a downhill slope. It got out there so far, and then the pipe had got, you know, I don't know if it got put in that way or if it settled over time, but either way it was running uphill. And the way I know it was running uphill is because we cleaned all the grease out of the line. We did like a 1,500 gallon flush on it, and then we put the camera back down the line, and it would get out there up under the road, and the camera would go up under the water. I mean, it was just completely up under the water. And I went down to the manhole down there when we were doing the 1,500 gallon flush, and the water was coming through with no issue. So automatically it tells me that water was having to push that water up that hill to get out. But anyway, enough of the rambling. Back to the real project. We got this one kind of curled over the way we want it. So we're going to take a minute. We're going to cut it loose. We're going to just set it over there and let it cool. And then we're going to move on to the next step.